Hello there guys. I have a relatively quick video for you today. This is a weekend build of the Talbot-Lago T26C. This kit has a relatively long history. It was originally tooled sometime in the 1950s by Merit, but it's also been released by various companies including Mr. Craft and Atlantis. My understanding is that Merit produced a number of Grand Prix car kits in the 1950s, but the others are pretty hard to find, or pretty expensive when you do find them. For example, at the time of recording, the Gordini kit shown here was between £40 and £150 on eBay, which is really just silly for such a simple kit. The only other one of them which is relatively easily available is the Alfa Romeo 158, which I built in October 2024, and that was the Mr. Craft boxing of the kit that I built. And the build video for that was surprisingly popular. It was one of my more successful car builds. The version of the kit I have here is the 1963 boxing. Lovely box art. I really do like this image on the front here. And in particular, if we look at the side, the other side, I think this image here really captures just how deep within the car the driver is. The head sort of barely peering over the steering wheel there, which is maybe an impression you don't quite get when you look at the model. Of course, this is from an era of racing where seatbelts weren't a thing. It was better to be ejected from the car if you had an accident rather than be trapped inside it, especially if it caught fire. And even helmets weren't really a required safety device at the time. If we look inside the box, we can see some indication of its age. We've got a single sheet instruction sheet, which I'll look at later. Some decals which have probably seen better days. Two halves to the car. Quite nicely moulded though, and not warped or anything like that. A bag of parts, and then this at the bottom here. I believe this is a little ampule of glue, I'm guessing cement. I'm not quite sure, but either way, I don't think I'm going to be using it to build this kit. If we open the bag of parts, we can see there are relatively few. We do have some clear parts, which I'll come back to later. And then basically the engine cover, some wheels in two parts, and then the single sheet instructions. Quite a lot of history there on one side, plus some instructions for assembly, and in fact all of the painting instructions are here in text form as well. And then on the other side we have really just one illustration that shows everything going together. So let's get cracking. So this Talbot-Lago is not a Formula 1 car, simply because Formula 1 didn't exist at the time it was being raced. Powered by a 4.5 litre engine, it made its debut at the 1948 Monaco Grand Prix. It had its first wins the following year when Louis Chiron won the Belgian Grand Prix and the French Grand Prix. Racing nerd side note, Louis Chiron was the first Monegasque driver to win the Monaco Grand Prix in 1931, and he held that record until 2024 when Charles Leclerc won the Monaco Grand Prix that year. This Talbot-Lago also had a two-seat Grand Sport version which won the 1950 24 Hour of Le Mans, and there were also a variety of privateer and works entries in the 1950 and 1951 World Championships, but without significant success. And as I've been talking, you can see that I've started to build up the engine. Well, started and finished really. The box does say with engine detail, but that's all the detail you're going to get. Still, it's not bad for the time, I guess, and I'm not really going to remove the engine cover anyway. We have the front suspension arms here with the brake discs inside. And we even get this panel here with 3 separately moulded pedals. I thought it was wise to get the 2 chassis halves glued together fairly early. All the other components will still fit inside once the 2 halves are together. And of course there's going to need to be a little bit of sanding at least, particularly on the underside, to get those 2 halves smooth. Once I'd applied the glue, I held the 2 sides together with some masking tape and added that nose piece there, which does a good job of squeezing the front of the pieces together. I then gave everything a coat of Tamiya primer. We do have that big seam line down the interior of the chassis, but that's going to be hidden by the seat and by the engine, for the most part at least. Plus there's not really much I can do to get in there to sand that down anyway. Originally I gave the engine block a coat of XF1 black, but then I went over it afterwards with Vallejo steel. At this point I also painted the front and rear suspension pieces and the exhaust with the same Vallejo metal colour steel. In an era of racing before sponsorship, national racing colours were used, and of course blue was the French colour. I didn't have the perfect colour, but I did have this TS23 light blue handy. I've had this rattle can for a while now. I'm not going to use it for anything else, and all of these rattle cans provide a really nice, durable, glossy finish, perfect for racing cars. And the inside of those parts there has been painted with Vallejo model colour aluminium, and then that was masked off to protect it from the blue. These rear leaf springs go in through this gap in the bodywork and then connect to a pin on the inside of the cockpit. This was really easy to fit before I hit record on the camera. We don't need to worry about the unpainted piece there on the inside because we have panels that go over and cover it. When they're in place, our rear axle sits nicely on top of the springs. And our front suspension pieces can also slide into place. The radiator grille was also painted with Vallejo aluminium, as was part of the seat, which shouldn't be the kind of leathery brown colour. I could have cut some circle masks for the wheels to protect the black, but instead I went with a thick brush for the majority of the paint and then a fine brush just to get the edges hopefully nice and even. The wheels of course are supposed to have spokes, but they are beyond injection moulding technology even today. Instead we get these clear parts which are supposed to simulate those spokes, and we did originally have decals of course that would go over that. But I think even without the decals, the slight sort of shadow or light scattering caused by those spoke pieces on the clear part does give a bit of an impression of spokes. Decal wise, I didn't even try the ones which were included with the kit. You can barely even make out the number 24 there. Instead I went to decals, who I've used loads of times for a lot of different kits. They've always got really good high quality decals and nice quick shipping as well. And I chose these ones here, which are number 6 for Louis Chiron at the French Grand Prix of 1949. Drivers of course in those days often had different numbers for different races. It was quite hard to get these circle decals to conform to the bodywork detail, but I got there in the end. We've got a number of options. We could also put the 6 at the front, just underneath the driver's door, but I like it here on the rear bodywork. Attach the wheels, Add these aluminium vents to the engine cover. The caps for the fuel and oil tanks. And then our 1949 Talbot-Lago is complete. And there we go guys, that was my quick weekend build of the 1/24th scale Talbot-Lago from Merit, originally tooled in the 1950s, and with this kit released, as far as I'm aware, in 1963. So still quite a bit older than me. There's not much to say about this kit. It doesn't have a huge amount of detail, but it was really good fun to build. As I say, I could do it in a weekend. It's really a case of building the sub-assemblies, painting them, assembling the sub-assemblies, bringing the sub-assemblies together. I also really like racing cars from this era when they're just a cigar-shaped box with a massive engine, some wheels sticking out the side, and they've got a really nice, sleek, aerodynamic look to them. I do kind of wish I had a 1/24th scale driver figure to go in here to really be working that wheel. There are a couple of 3D printed figures actually I've got that I could scale down to this perhaps. I'll have to have a look at that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I would like to say thank you to all of you for watching and for your continued support of the channel, and of course special thanks to my Patreon members and YouTube supporters for their support of the channel over the months and years. It's massively appreciated, so thank you very much guys. I will be back soon with another video, and until then, thank you again for watching and have fun modelling.